We're live. Hello, everyone. Happy
Hello.
Friday. Welcome to a new event, a new panel hosted by the Blockchain Game Alliance. This month, we're decided to dive a little bit more into DeFi gaming, explore exactly what are those new type of games, what do they offer for the user, what makes them so exciting, etc., and invite some of the key actors and key games in the space. So you will be able to see, to get a preview, a taste, participate, be involved, ask your question to the creator of those games, and learn hopefully a lot more about this very exciting topic. Before we jump into the conversation and demos from our speakers today, we are going to give you a brief introduction of the Blockchain Game Alliance for those of you who are not yet familiar. The Blockchain Game Alliance is a non-profit organization committed to promoting blockchain within the game industry. Our goal is to spread awareness around blockchain technologies, how they can create new ways of playing, new ways of engaging, monetizing, publishing, involving communities with the game through non-fungible tokens, NFTs, through decentralized gaming, through DAOs, and today also dive more into DeFi. We're a strong advocate for diversity and more inclusivity of women in the industry, and we really focus into supporting all the members, giving them opportunities for networking, launching opportunities for research and reporting through different working groups and publication, representing blockchain games company to provide them more visibility and players, and of course advocating for the use of blockchain in the game industry. I would like to give a big thanks to our sponsors, The Contribute, Ubisoft, One Way Block, Animoca Brands, Arc.io, Galaxy Interactive, Antler Interactive, MakerDAO, Algorand, Chromia, Matic, AMD, and Mobox. We're a growing family. As you can see, we have now over 170 members. So huge growth in number of members since I became president a year ago of the Blockchain Game Alliance. Super excited that this shows how the space is boiling with innovation, experimentation, and now growth metrics. Those members include blockchain games, chain and protocol, press and media, games, developer solution, esports, legal, investors, and many more sectors. We do run a wide range of activities, almost one per week. Last year, we had close to 50 events, either interviews with industry leaders and video game executives, workshops, series of panels involving speakers on different topics, presenting new member once a month, different panels, and also offering speaking opportunity at other events, and the demo days, which is back and has been one of our best working events. Without any further ado, today I'm really excited to introduce you to three key projects in the space of DeFi gaming. So we'll have Sarojini from Alien World, we'll have Darius from Node Runners, and Elliot should be joining us from Superfarm. Hello, hello. All right, so let
Hi.
me.
Hello,
Hey.
and
Hi.
welcome.
Nice to be here. Thanks for having us.
Wonderful. So today we're going to be talking about DeFi in the gaming industry. So we're going to get Darius and Saro to present the game project and tell us more about what DeFi has to do with gaming. So I will start with Saro, if you want to give an introduction about yourself and about your project.
Yes, I will. Let me share the right thing here. It's always step one. Okay, so can you see my... Yes, you can. All right.
Yeah, you can go on full screen if you want.
Good. I will go on full screen. Let me just do this. All right, so we took your instructions seriously and we're calling this DeFi in gaming. So I think this is such a great topic because DeFi obviously has been a huge growth area in the last year. And I think it's really great to consider how, when we think about DeFi, we think about elements of farming of NFTs and fungible tokens. We think about elements of DAO-based governance or governance tokens. These are ways to really supercharge the growth of a community in a game. And I'm going to use my project Alien Worlds as an example of that, how DeFi elements have propelled a game to very rapid growth. And then that's something that we can think about in terms of how it applies to other things. So just to introduce myself, I'm Sarah McKenna. I'm one of the 3 founders of Alien Worlds, and I'll talk over the course of this about how we kind of got to where we are today. Okay, so I'll just start by setting the scene. So we have experienced, as I mentioned, quite rapid growth. We're currently the #1 ranked blockchain game by users per 24-hour period. This was a really gratifying piece of coverage in DApp Radar just a couple of days ago, just referencing that we only launched in December of 2020, so just a few short weeks ago, but we've risen to be the most popular blockchain game, and just kind of asking why would that be? Which is what I'll talk about today. So here, just establishing we're the top ranked game by users, and we're also the 4th biggest just DApp overall by users. Sometimes we're number 5. It kind of goes up and down, but those are DApp Radar numbers by 24-hour users. Okay, so why the rapid growth then? I think that there are some really blockchain specific mechanisms that have propelled us to that kind of growth, and that might be more widely applicable too. So the first is the provable ownership of assets. So as we know, NFTs, fungible tokens, are provably owned by the individual. And because of that, I think our experience is that our users are really willing to invest their own time and effort in adding to their collection, but also to the utility and to what they're amassing through their gameplay. The second is decentralized decision-making. So this is another property of many blockchain projects. And what it has led to in our case is that our users know that they have power, right? They have decision-making power. They want more of it, as we'll come on to see. They're behaving quite competitively already. And that's leading to intense competition and collaboration. So I think this really is a blockchain story. Just briefly to set out how we got here, because I think it's partly relevant also around factors of community. So produced by Coco, me and 2 co-founders, and then all the people that are working with us. Previously in the past, we did the EOStack airdrop, which was a successful airdrop at the time and remains one of the world's largest DAOs. It's a functioning block producer on a number of chains. At the time, it was actually, the airdrop was credited with actually propelling the EOS ICO to greater heights, even though it was a much bigger project. We were also instrumental in the EOS mainnet launch from a technical perspective in terms of the actual chain launch. So I think one of our sort of experiences so far has been that because of that kind of long time in the space and the leadership kind of role that we'd taken in other projects, some of our land whales within Alien Worlds are people that we've known for a long time. Some of the people that have kind of stepped forward to become what I'll talk about as we go on in terms of faction leaders and group leaders, they were people that have known us for some time. Okay, so let's just establish the growth that's happened so far. So we are about to hit 20,000 lifetime miners. So that's the number of people who've mined overall. I think we're currently at 1950. So 19,500. In the last month, so from yesterday to the preceding month, the growth was 317%. And in the preceding month, so from the end of January to the end of December, it was 528%. So that's just really rapid growth, basically. And I'd like to kind of like elucidate why we think that DeFi has been part of that. So we have all these people who've mined over the course of the project, but these people are also actively mining all the time. So 42% of that nearly 20,000 number actually have mined in the last 24 hours. So these are people who are coming back time and time again. And in fact, they're spending a long time with us on the platform. We've also experienced growth in our Telegram. This was all organic. None of it was paid. Our Discord channel is really active. We have a Russian channel, a Chinese Telegram, and so on. So we've got multiple languages and many, many different channels. And as I referenced, this has all been organic. We haven't had any external funding to date, apart from our NFT pre-sales. So the question is, how do you get organic growth like this with no external funding? So let's look at the DeFi mechanisms that we have going on within Alien Worlds. So we have NFTs being mined. Over 1 million NFTs have so far been mined by our users. And that's just to put it into some perspective, we sold 74,000 NFTs as part of our pack sales in Q4 2020. So people have really also earned, a sizable amount versus what we sold. About 41.6 million Trillium has so far been mined by users. We haven't sold any. So all of the Trillium that's out there in the wild is what people themselves have been earning in the game. This is a user-generated website, and I'll come on in a second to all of the user-generated activity that's been going on. But what this one shows, if you see the planet staking data there at the bottom, of that kind of 41 odd million trillium that have been mined so far, the majority has been staked back into our Planet DAO entities. If you know anything about the game, what you'll know is that we haven't actually opened up our Planet DAO entities yet to governance. So people are sort of pre-staking in anticipation of that, and I'll come on to that. Okay, so where does this lead to, these, farming of NFTs and Trillium? What is that leading to? I'm going to talk now about the social DeFi dynamics of competition and collaboration within the game. So what we've seen is the emergence, as I was referencing before, of some pretty intense competition between factions. But interestingly, that has now led on to a wave of more collaborative endeavors that I think is quite interesting. We also have some services that have begun to be created by users. So one user has already generated a fractionalized land proposition. And we also have a user, in fact, a longtime friend of ours, who has created a whole basically business now for himself around data and an AW Butler service, which I will come on to talk about. Okay, so what's happening with these factions in Alien Worlds? I think this, rather than doing a game demo, I wanted to kind of really show for you, because you can go onto our website and see the game and you can play the game, and I hope you will. But I think one of the things that's really interesting is this emergence of just grassroots factions. I don't even know most of the stuff that's going on. And in fact, I hear about it later than everyone else, it seems. So, and why is that? So we have most of the autonomy within the game actually rests at the planetary DAO levels, and also with landowners, not with us as the central game authority. And people know that. And so they're forming these factions. We have the Cabal, the Alien Worlds Cabal, the Alien Worlds Army, Crypto Monkeys, Good Vibes Mining, and Kinder Miners. These are the ones that I know about. These are the ones that have currently formed. Many of them have their own Telegram channels, their own Discords. A few of them have their own websites. They are all coordinating staking to planets. So they all have planets that they've set their sights on to take over. And some of them are also, in fact, all of them, with the exception of one that hasn't, I think, gotten around to it yet, is disseminating their own NFTs to users as extra incentives to mine on lands. So I think one of the things that's kind of interesting is that the first wave of all of this stuff was very competitive. We can see there a meme by the Cabal talking about there's the crypto monkeys, the monkeys on Neri. Smaller token holders were staking to Magor, which is another of our planets, but come and mine with the experts on Cavian, and you can see that big mining tool there. But then the army came back and began to reply with their own memes, asking people to stake to Magor. The crypto monkeys came in and have been asking everybody to stake to Neri. So quite a competitive vibe there in terms of the staking. We also had a user who developed a volcano sacrifice offering every day. So he's offering prizes to people for throwing your NFTs into his volcano to burn them. So the first wave was a little bit competitive, but now what we're seeing is some really quite sweet, more collaborative efforts around these groups. So we have the Good Vibes Mining and also a group called the Kinder Miners, who have a different kind of ethos. They're trying to be a little bit more inclusive. They're sort of, I think they're having meetings and talking to each other and that kind of thing. One of them has set up this concept of a peace stack to talk about, and she's using the NFTs within Alien Worlds for people to vote on these different peace questions. I think it's kind of interesting that that was created by a woman. I think maybe that first wave of competitive dynamics was a bit kind of crypto bro, which is great. We love those guys. And there's also been room for a sort of different approach as well within our metaverse. And I think that's a really nice indication of an active and healthy ecosystem. And then, as I alluded to, we've also had some service providers come in. So these are people who are taking a commercial interest in how they can offer something into the metaverse and make private rewards from that. So one individual has attempted to fractionalize land. Land is pretty expensive now on Alien World. So he's only put 2 lands into a tokenized pool and is now offering shares on that. And I referenced before, we have a butler. This is an old colleague of ours from ES USA who has just decided to scrape some of the data that's coming out of the game. There's a huge amount of data that's being generated. So he will record for landowners who has mined on their land, and he will facilitate dropping of NFTs onto landowners' land when people mine there. We also have a community website there. You can see the Alien Worlds community. That wasn't produced by us. That was produced by a community member. And she there, you can see that she's listing out some of the different groups that are doing things. She has a calendar that she's running and so on. So yeah, I think that it's been incredibly gratifying to see the explosion of user-generated activity. Of course, users are coming back and mining time and time again. And I think that what that leads me to kind of conclude is that DeFi incentives are a very powerful addition to fundamental mechanics and tokenomics. And in our case, they have absolutely accelerated and added fuel to what's going on. I think that the central fire has to be your own community, their conviction in the project, the fact that it's fun, the fact that they enjoy what they're doing. And I think the emergence of interpersonal relationships is also a really good sign that people are wanting to interact directly with each other, forming these allegiances, creating their own separate websites, creating their own tokenomic mechanisms, all sits on top of those fundamental blockchain attributes of provable ownership of the NFTs and the fungible tokens, and the fact that there's decentralized governance. That's it for me for a monologue, but I'm happy to.
Exciting. So maybe just to, and then we'll have Darius, but just to walk us through back for a second, like we've seen all those incentive, all the user-generated content, the faction, the community being involved. The core game, where do you play the core game, and can you show us maybe we can put in background a video or something that how it does look like?
Sure.
And that's also an interesting question from Aidan. Would it be good for beginners who are starting to learn about NFTs and how they work? Which I think is a super interesting question on how to get started on Alien Worlds.
Yeah, so on that point, I think for sure, one of the reasons why we selected the design that we have is, so we have a layer 1 Wax and a layer 2 Ethereum. And what that means is that the only prerequisite to playing the game is to have a Wax wallet, which is like a very simple sign up. You don't need to own any crypto. And you really don't need anything else. We give you everything that you need to start playing. So yeah, I mean, I think the record of the number of people that have kind of piled in would suggest that it's pretty easy to start. I think that we put a lot of work into developing a structure that was very deep. So people are able to take longer term strategic positions in the game. But certainly to start out, I think it's very easy. And also our community really is very friendly. So if you have any questions, you can just come into to any of the channels and ask, and people will help you. So let me just go to actually probably the best place is the first look UI on our website. I'll just call that up while you guys are.
All right, so maybe we'll switch to Darius to introduce us node runners in the meantime while Saro looks.
Yeah, sure. My name is Darius. I'm a founder of Node Runners project. So I'm a developer, product manager, and I've been wearing many hats in the past few years. And decentralized finance, like as an industry, I got introduced to it maybe like 2 years ago. A friend of mine told me about it, and ever since I've been following up. And only like last year, like when it started growing exponentially, I got really excited and decided to kind of put my other business on pause and try out myself in DeFi. So with the upcoming game of the Cyberpunk, it was something that inspired to create a game. So there we have a theme like this. The corporate autocracy has taken over the world. So we have this layers of society, kind of battling between each other, and like the idea of the decentralized finance came to mind that in the future this can be kind of a forbidden theme because of the centralization efforts. So the concept of node runners is that people are selecting their decentralized heroes to fight against corporate villains. So they can collect cards and upgrade them with support cards. Just let me share it for you. All right.
Here. All right.
All right. So basically, users come here and they can obtain the cards of our heroes, which are like Vitalik, Buterin, Satoshi, Sergey, Hayden, and so these are guys that would be fighting the villains of the corporate world, like bankers and well, people that basically are in the power, or like political leaders. Oh, and once they get a card, for example, once they obtain a hero card, they can use it in a couple ways. They can stake it to receive NDR tokens. So basically, these are the tokens of the ecosystem that also used for governance. And well, the game is still under development, but these hero cards will be used in the fights against the villains. So it works in a way that user gets, for example, his favorite hero card. He upgrades it with support cards, and then he'll be able to, well, by using the fight rounds, he'll be able to defeat the villain, claim his card, which can be staked to earn NDR as well. And also we plan to integrate the how's it called, the battle system between, kind of create possibility for players to gather into gangs and fight against each other. So because without the multiplayer, I think like any game is just too boring and gets well, it doesn't get the retention that it can. So with this gang system, it will work the following way, that people create a gang with their heroes, and then the members of the gang, they put their tokens to create basically how to say, maybe a gang treasury, and then when they fight against other gang, then whoever gang wins, the winners take the percentage of the gang's treasury. So we're building this now on the Polygon network, which is called previously Matic, and yeah, we hope to release it in the, I don't know, probably in quarter two. It'll be quite more realistic. And
can you describe us how the fights are actually visualized? Is it automatically computed, or do you really see a scene with an actual fight with characters?
Yes. So initially, it would be actually quite simple. Just there would be, for example, a fight between Vitalik, and you choose a villain that you want to fight, and with a click of a button, calculate randomly basically before the fight. Actually, there is a setup. So you have a card, you upgrade it with support cards, and you set your NDR tokens as life balance. And so when you select the villain, you click the fight button, and it's, well, the damage is calculated, and you then decide either to continue the battle or just flee and maybe try other villain or boost your card. And so yeah, and the cards that you get, then you can stake them. And these, for example, we have the staking section where users can come and stake and earn NDR tokens, which if they wish, they can sell it, or they can use later in the upcoming battles. And also we took it a step further. We wanted to create more utility for NFTs. So we opened new NFT staking pools. Like one of them is a meme, and recently also added Doki Doki. And there'll be a couple other projects that they line up that will be able to, well, come to us and basically stake NFTs. And this NFT staking concept is, I believe it has a good potential overall in the, well, in decentralized gaming, because, well, you kind of, well, if you look at the, for example, something like Farmville, you put some asset and get crops and sell those crops, get coins. So, but all of that is happening just on the servers of the game creator. So you can't really, well, you don't have any ownership of those assets. And what decentralized, what DeFi brings to gaming is that, for example, if you buy a part of the land and you put some assets there, you can generate tokens, which later on can be sold actually just for Ethereum, well, basically for money. And yeah, this thing is really exciting, and I believe we'll see much better development in that field. And what's also automated money maker, like DEX exchanges, made possible is that these tokens that you farm from the game can be sold at any time. And before, it just wasn't possible. I mean, there were attempts for game developers to introduce ERC20 tokens, but since there was no liquidity to actually sell them, well, it didn't progress much far. But now we have all the ingredients to make the DeFi gaming actually, well, interesting. We're kind of moving like to this model, like from pay to play to a model of play to earn. So people that are playing the game, so they getting the assets, like for example now in our case it's just simple cards, but these game assets then can be put for example in vaults or used in the battles to win the rewards. And if the project has good enough token ecosystem, well, it can benefit and attract the players. So yeah, that's actually, I have a quite short presentation here of it, and yeah, maybe
I don't know if you see the question from Ben, Darius. He's asking when can we start playing? So I don't know if you have any suggestion on how to get started.
Yeah. So like basically right now this game of the playing, maybe it's like fighting villains part is still under development, and I believe we're looking, well, let's say just late March or early April. That's where what we're aiming for. And because since the gas fees have skyrocketed, so it kind of changed our plans to have it on Ethereum mainnet. So we're moving to Matic, and their team has been really supportful. And well, I'm really excited myself to see how it works out.
Great, thank you. And yeah, we also have Pramod that's joined us from Alien Worlds as well. So I just wanted to say hello. Can you hear us?
Hi, Sarina. Hi, everyone. It's so nice to be here.
Yes, nice.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, and we can see the screen as well. So
Pramod, we could either just play the video of the first look, or if you want, we could demo with some quick tools.
Yeah, I mean, whatever fits best. I think I have the screen ready on my.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I can just share my screen and we can do this live.
Yeah, even better. So let's go like maybe 2 minutes live demo. Then we'll jump into some discussion. And I see we have already some discussion and question as well from the audience. So
yes, of course. You guys see my screen?
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, great. So So when you start, this is the first screen that you land on. This is the home screen. You've got a bunch of things are on here. So you've got your inventory. In your inventory, you have your equipments, all the equipments that you either purchased in our pack sale, or the equipments that you get while mining. So all of those can be seen here. Similarly, you've also got an avatar. This is the default avatar. You get one for free when you first sign up for playing Alien World. So we give out one free avatar and a free shovel, so that you don't need any crypto or any other items that you're not required to purchase anything to get started. We also have weapons. However, in this MVP version that is out right now, we don't have any use of weapons. But soon we'll be launching a fighting game called Thunderdome, where you'll be using the weapons and minions as well. We've got land. So I've got one land over here. And we also have something called as artifacts, which will be more like consumables. So we haven't launched these as well. So these are also coming out soon. And then we've got minions that you can use in the Thunderdome. So I'll quickly take you guys through mining. So here I have a land selected. So I'm mining on my own land because why not? I can get commission to mine on my own land. And if there is someone else who's also mining on my land, I've set my commission rate to about 20%. So whatever trillium that they mine on my land, I get a share on that. So here in the mining hub, this is what we call our bag. Right. So I have some very basic tools selected over here, and I'm trying to get a tool set where we can mine faster. So these icons on these cards, they all have some meaning, right? So the one over here where it says 1 on the standard shovel, it's for it's how much you will mine from a pot, from whatever trillium that is out there in the mining pot. This pyramid-like icon denotes how much relaxation you will have on proof of work difficulty. So every time you mine in Alien Worlds, your system or your device is doing some actual proof of work. So this icon over here, if you have some stat here, that would reduce the amount of proof of work that you need to put in. And this icon here is for NFT luck, right? So I'm using these 3 different tools to mine on a geothermal springs. Let's see how that goes. So I'm expecting the mine to finish faster, because I'm using some tools which have which will reduce my proof of work that's required. Let's see how that goes.
It's a real blockchain transaction behind, actually.
Yes.
But additionally, it's worth noting that this could be much faster. It's just that we add in the proof of work delay, because then certain NFTs reduce that, and it also means that it's a little bit harder for bots to operate. So it was a specific intentional piece of design there.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Let's keep that point for a future question, but let's see how you're resilient to bots hacking, etc. Because there's actually real tokens, real money at play behind on those type of games. Yeah. So it's an important aspect.
That's cool. That's a good question related to this. Somebody's asking if there is a need to pay a transaction fee for every action on this.
Well, with Wax. I'm sorry, Sarah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
All right. With Wax, the transactions are feeless and near instant. And if you might run out of CPU at some point if you are continuously mining, but that can be very easily solved by staking a couple of Wax, and you'll be good for about a week or so, I think.
Thank you.
So,
and
Yeah,
Great
so we
idea
just
on the
finished
bot.
mining. If you guys can still see my
Oh, great.
screen.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, we
so
can.
let's
Awesome.
claim this and see how much Trillium we've received.
Is it
That's exciting.
randomized or it's deterministic? Like you always get the same result?
No, we don't always get the same amount of Trillium. So we have a mining pot which gets filled every second, right? And then based on the type of tools I use and the kind of land that I was mining on, the amount of Trillium that I mine is determined by that. So with this current configuration, I got about 0.8655 Trillium. And then you can also go and stake these trilliums to a planet that you would like to sort of support. Like you've seen in the presentation, Saro mentioned about different factions trying to gain control over a planet. So if you are in one of those factions, you can stake Trillium to that planet to show your support. So I like Neri. I've got a land in Neri, so I would go there and stake some Trillium there. Let's see how much I've got. So I've got about 4,820 Trillium. Let's take about 50% here. So these are real blockchain transaction. I'll just show that here. So if you guys see, that I started mining and I got about 0.8956 trillium. And since I was mining on my own land, I got like 20% of the trillium that I mined because I had set my commission to that much. Oh no, it's here, I think. Yeah, this is the one. And then I staked 2,410 trillium to Neri. And when you stake trillium to a planet, you get the planet tokens in return, which can then be used for planetary governance, which we're about to release soon. So in addition to that, there's one more thing that I would like to show. Like I said that I had my commission set to 20. I could change this to 10 or even less to attract more people to come and mine on my land. And I could use one of the services that Saro spoke about earlier. Like there's this community member who started a Alien Worlds Butler service that can help you to distribute external NFTs that are not really Alien World NFTs to your miners to encourage more mining on your land. I just wanted to show this website that's made by one of our community member, which shows live mining on all the planets that we have in Alien Worlds. So you can see there's a lot of mining happening in the game right now.
That's great.
So,
That's great.
Yep.
That means like all those nodes are live players actually currently mining.
Exactly. Yeah.
In real time.
Yep.
That's cool. It's somehow multiplayer. You not in a sense of like having an avatar and seeing a 3D avatar. Maybe not yet, but you can see like there's activity ongoing. So on average, how many would you say? How many players are live active simultaneously?
In the last 24 hours, there would have been about 9,000. So right now, you can guess. Yeah. But I don't know, Pramod, can you guess?
I'm not sure. Maybe we can find that out to see who.
We do. I actually can get the last hour, if that helps.
All right.
That'd be interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
So while you look for those metrics, maybe we'll jump into the more open conversation panel. I know Serena has prepared a couple of questions, and we can also follow through what the question the audience has on the chat.
Yes.
This is very, very exciting and novel. So I think maybe let me reshare my full screen.
Yeah. So I was going to ask Darius more about utility tokens, as I wanted to introduce the concept about what utility tokens are in relation to gaming and how the governance also work in your project, and if you can introduce that concept as well within the DeFi in gaming.
Yeah,
So
of course.
utility tokens, what are they?
Yeah, so in our case, we have like two main utility tokens, which is NDR, which is kind of like a bloodline in the game, and hashes. So you use NDR to obtain hashes, and these hashes then are used to obtain cards. And these tokens, they allow to create like all different kinds of game mechanics and add different layers of complexity. For example, you can play around with the difficulty of obtaining one kind of the card, like we have in games with experience points and basic levels. So when we attract when we attach the DeFi elements to the game, well, it's kind of more not accessible, but it gives more sense of ownership that you can access some in-game items, because if we go if we would just do something like that without utility tokens, well, then it would be like a closed ecosystem, and well, you couldn't, for example, add other tokens from other projects to make it work. While what DeFi allows to do us, we can actually collaborate with different games, with different assets from different games, and it's kind of like this kind of ability to integrate other parts of the game into yours. Well, it can make the games more more interesting, more exciting, because now the card, for example, the token you had, and it's only usable in this game. Now suddenly there is a close exclusive area that you can unlock by using it. And that wouldn't be possible like before, because, well, it would involve some complex API work, and now the technology is here to glue the games together.
Totally. Yeah, makes sense. And since we sort of explained already why DeFi is such so good with gaming, and gaming being one of the best use cases to apply decentralized finance, how do you go about governance? And I will extend this question as well to Saro, because my point now is, how do you engage with communities and how do you get them involved? We've seen in your games how you actually connect and get them, within the gaming experience, and how you reward them. But in terms of the governance and the development of the game and the project, how would you get your communities involved?
Yeah, so that's a key part of how we've designed the structure. And it's also a huge reason for its success, is because people are empowered. Actually, very little of the overall power within the game rests with us as the founders, and we basically manage the core smart contracts, and we manage several features, but most of the decision-making authority will be resting with the planetary DAOs. So these are 6 DAOs, which we're calling planets. And in order to participate in the governance of those planets, people stake Trillium, the fungible token of the metaverse, to a planet. And as Pramod mentioned, they receive in return the governance token of that planet. And then that tracks in a stake-weighted way their voting rights on that planet. Each planet will have its own set of custodians. And those custodians will decide how to allocate out, how to pay out the trillium that flows to that planet each day. So initially, the majority of the trillium is configured to go out to miners on land that's located on that planet. But later on in the roadmap, each planetary DAO will have the ability to change that majority configuration where the majority of trillium is flowing to landowners and to the mining game. And instead, they'll be able to allocate it anywhere they want. And I think that's why we're seeing these 5 factions with their own websites, their own discords, people evidently spending a ton of time on this, is because they know that they're going to be in control of a big pot of trillium, right? And it's going to matter whether you're sitting on the custodian board or not. It's going to matter whether you have formed an allegiance with those people, and maybe then you withdraw your stake from that planet and you go and stake to another planet, which is basically like taking over another planet's governance. So we're going to see a lot of interesting dynamics with that. And then at the same time, the landowners are also a separate element of power rewards in the game. There is a connection between the two. So when we open up the power to the planetary DAOs to be able to change the amount of trillium that goes to the mining game, we're also going to open up a veto power for landowners to be able to veto certain resolutions on that planet DAO, because otherwise their interests could be disenfranchised. But they still too collectively have to organize that veto. So we have really interesting dynamics, and that is all being built on chain. None of that is off chain, okay? And that's the power of the smart contract platforms that we're using now. Like Wax has an ability to code a lot of stuff in there, so we can build these DAOs, we can build these mechanisms, and we've also been doing this for a while. So we're actually reusing a lot of mechanisms that we've used in Stack and previous projects. So yeah, the decentralized governance is absolutely critical to why people feel and are engaged, and then they get something that's provably theirs as a result of all their efforts. They can take that off platform. I have no say in what they do with that. And it's a huge amount of freedom for people.
Mm-hmm. And what's your view on that, Darius? How do you see the engagement and the governance going in Node Runners?
Well, we have created the governance structure. Like, we also have created an initiatives fund, we can call it that, where we can reward players for any development they can help us with, or yes. So in our case, the governance are used to set up the fees for the different areas of the platform. It can also be used to whether accept or reject the proposal, where the game should be going, or whether to accept, for example, certain project. And also have a decent chunk of our treasury account, which was also voted during the governance vote, how those funds should be arranged. So this kind of have like a community-driven game where kind of takes out the. Basically, we as the founders, we're trying to give set the direction, but whether to implement some features or whether this should be proceeded or not, we're first referring to our community and asking whether that would be a good idea. And yeah, I believe that's a good way to get this instant feedback, because that prevents you from making mistakes that, some games, for example, maybe focused on other areas than their users were prioritizing or enjoyed the most. And that can basically put the game off the track. Well, in our case, yeah, we try to make the governance decisions with help of our NDR token, and really hope we'll get even more activity with it. And that's. I really hope it will work out like in fully autonomous game where parts of the communities start building up the other parts of it.
So the governance aspect is actually part of the gameplay. In that sense, like what percentage of your user base is actually engaging in at least one vote or one voting with the DAO?
Well, that depends actually where we are taking the vote on. For example, some lesser important decisions are being voted through our social media channels. So there we have a pretty high activity, maybe 30 to 40% of users casting out their votes. And we don't have an on-chain voting, just the off-chain for the snapshot vote. So yeah, that has a bit slower activity, but we're still in the process of implementation of kind of like rewards for the voting, like if and incentives for proposals creation. So that's still in the process of development.
Sebastian, I can just chime in on, because you're asking about numbers. In our case, that sounds super interesting, Darius, about how you're doing it, the governance. In our case, of the
can you zoom in maybe? Yeah, I think it's pretty small for the audience. If you can zoom a little bit some of those graphs, so everyone can see those better. It's really great to provide data. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Is that looking good?
A huge amount of data is coming out of the game, which is great. So yeah, of the roughly 40 million trillium that has so far been earned by users, has been mined by users, about 30 million has been staked back into planets. So people in general are staking back. Currently, that staked trillium into the planets is just impacting the spread of the trillium rewards to each planet. So the planets that have more trillium staked to them get more rewards back. But in time, that staked trillium will also be what will determine each individual's voting share on the planet. We actually have the staked trillium per planet. I don't know if it's in any of those ones. I can take you to a website that has that. And it was also in my presentation. Each of the planets has a different, and it's actually been really funny because Cavian was the one that came out in front early on. And then the NFT army began to tell everyone to stake to their planet. And then the crypto monkeys began to tell everyone to stake to their planet. So now actually it's a lot more neck and neck. Let me just get the staking per, oh, here we go, planet data. I could share this probably. Oh, are you also sharing that, Promote, or am I sharing that?
Yeah, I have that up on my screen, I think. This is what you're looking for, right?
Yeah, that's perfect. I've also got it here. So you can see their proposed just sharing the planet staking data. So as I mentioned, this is actually not our own website. This is one of the factions websites, and they're tracking the trillium staked on each planet. So, and Neri has just pulled ahead actually, because just this morning when I looked at it, Cavian was ahead. Cavian is the Cabal's planet, the one that, I mean, it doesn't belong to them. It's just the planet that they're all staking to. And then Neri is the monkeys, right, Promote?
Yeah, the crypto monkey guys are near. They're doing a lot of promotions to get people to stake onto their planets.
Yeah, and then Magor has been losing share a little bit. So, and as I mentioned, this is all happening in the period before we're opening up the planet DAOs. So when that actually happens, all hell will break loose, presumably. Yeah, we're certainly going to see an uptick in users, I think, at that point.
That's very interesting. Well, thank you for sharing those stats with us. I'd like to take some of the questions from the audience now. So we have a few minutes to go. So if you can provide like quick answers to the questions that we have here, I will share them on screen. So the first one is for Darius from Paul. Can we expect game dynamics similar to Gods Unchained? In which ways will it differ?
Yeah, so Gods Unchained have actually created well, they're one of the first to introduce NFTs to the playing cards game, and yeah, we use their like a framework for the inspiration, but I think will go a bit in a different dynamics. Well, in a way that well, we're looking more in sort of well, in Gods Unchained, it's a turn-by-turn game. So users take their well, users put together the cards, and then they cast their cards for the round. In our case, since we're integrating the DeFi mechanics, and our game is happening on chain, it gives a really high level of complexity to achieve something like that. So we'll have a simple mechanics where people stack up the cards, and each card has strength points and defense points, and then these points are used basically to calculate the outcome of the fighting rounds, and whether it will be 1 versus 1 or group of players against the other group of players. Like these these strength and defense points will be the values that the game outcome will be calculated on, and then the R token will be used as the ultimate reward. And to make something as a reward. So for example, to make some token like more. What makes one token more valuable than another? I think it's the liquidity and the ability to sell this token. So with Gods Unchained, they have their NFTs, which can be traded, but it's difficult. It's actually difficult to sell one if you get it. And in our case, it's a bit more different. Well, all our assets are more liquid, and starting with the tokens that's powering it, and we also have kind of liquid NFTs. So our NFTs can be tokenized into into utility tokens, ERC20, and there is a liquidity pool for that. So even if anyone wants to suddenly cash out their token, they can just put it to this, basically exchange the token for ERC20 and sell it on the Uniswap. So yeah, so I'd say that the difference here is that we are like on-chain game, and we have we can create the game more. Players can get more value from it. Maybe not like visual fun wise. Maybe one day we'll get there, but yeah, they can actually have fun by winning.
Cool. Well, thank you for describing that. The next few ones.
Just as maybe a quick precision, when you say we are on-chain game, you actually, the full gameplay is totally decentralized. Even the resolution of the match, etc. Can we say you're totally decentralized? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like anyone, you can even play it without the front end, just messing around with the Etherscan and calling the functions. Yeah, it could still work. So yeah, even if someone decides to take us down, we'll still be there.
So someone can recode a totally different front end, calling just a smart contract to interact, and all the logic, all the ownership, the asset is all resolved on chain. So
yeah, exactly.
I think that's a really important point, actually. I mean, we had even just like contractually and stuff, like for some legal contracts, what was the game even? It's a set of smart contracts, and in our case, a reference UI, like we're building a UI, but our UI doesn't have to be the only one. And in fact, we fully expect the planets to create their own UIs. And somebody else might come along and just create a better UI for our games that we're offering. So yeah, it really is a decentralized and also like an extensible construction.
Mm-hmm. And Saro, do you have any plans to create a land fund? Players can put in crypto and receive a percentage cash back, and people can rent out the land. Both players win. So that's an interesting question from Ben.
So the concept of land rental is already actually baked into the game in the sense that a player can mine on land that doesn't belong to them. They just have to pay the commission to the landowner that is specified by the landowner. And what we've seen is that actually those commissions have come down. There's a sort of competitive race for people to want to make their land really attractive to mine on. But good land is still attracting higher rates of commission. So already land rental is a part of the game mechanic. I think that kind of second part of the question was perhaps more around fractionalization of land, whereby even if you don't own a land, you could maybe get a share of that land. And I actually shared as part of my presentation that there is a user that is doing that now. I don't think it's on our roadmap as part of the game developers to do that, but it seems to be happening by users.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, this has been a very interesting conversation. There's lots of questions that are also here in the live chat. I will invite everybody to go on to our social media and continue the conversation on Twitter, at the Blockchain Game Alliance, or Discord or Telegram, and get this conversation going. We're also going to be hosting another panel in relation to DeFi and gaming next week on Friday at 4 p.m. CET. So here we see the projects that we're going to present. There will also be, I think, one more joining us, Sebastian.
Whoops, wrong. Yes, we'll try to confirm one more speaker, make sure to showcase a maximum of projects evolving in this new, very exciting space. We've learned a lot today already. Thank you so much for taking the time to walk us through the different aspects and components of your game, how it works also behind the scenes, so we could see the metrics, we could see the data and all what the community built around those games and engage with through staking and faction. So really exciting. And we're just getting started. So like it's really a whole new space appearing within the blockchain game industry. So a lot of experimentation as well. And for sure, we're seeing today some of the key players of tomorrow's DeFi gaming.
Thank you so much. It's been really fun. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for hosting us.
Thank you, Darius, and Sarah and Pramod for being with us today. And thank you, everybody, for joining this live session. So feel free to share it. It's going to be on YouTube and Twitter, and we'll continue the conversation there. Please follow our channels at the BGA and stay tuned for more updates about DeFi and gaming. Once again, thank you all from the BGA team. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.